So last week's Bronx building collapse left over 100 people displaced. Miraculously, no one was killed or severely injured. And this week, the FDNY showed some of the dogs and drones that were actually used to help first responders search through all that rubble for survivors.
Here with more on that, and of course, a look to 2024. FDNY Commissioner Laura Kavanaugh, nice to have you back on Good Day New York.
Good morning.
Before we get to that, we got to talk about breaking news. Terrible fire in Sunnyside, Queens. Lots of families displaced. What do we know? Do you have an idea of what caused this?
Yeah, so we do know it was an unauthorized construction, use of a torch that ultimately set that fire. So,
what?
Yeah, really.
How did that
terrible.
happen? What do we know about that?
We just know it was someone doing construction work that was not authorized to do so. You know, I think it's a good reminder that the cause of many fires are preventable, and we all should really make sure we're being safe. You know, luckily no one was seriously injured, but we did have a number of minor injuries. A firefighter was injured, and obviously hundreds of people displaced before Christmas.
I know.
Right?
And so, is that building like at all viable? Are they going to be able to get back in there and get their possessions?
Certainly not right away. There was extensive damage, and it was a very large fire. So, you know, we hope we can facilitate them getting back in, but this is definitely going to be a difficult holiday season for that building, and so we really want to make sure people, you know, prevent these fires.
Right. Another fire that we were talking about was the Bronx Deli fire, which happened last week. We had a reporter live on the scene. You could see the flames going up in this place, and you're always wondering, okay, what started this? Now you kind of are piecing things together of what may have started this fire. Yeah,
we believe that was an e-bike as well, as so many of these fires have been in the last year. And as you mentioned, they cause so much damage. I can't emphasize that's enough. It's why we see so many deaths related to these, you know, severe property damage, because those, you know, e-bikes, they're quite large, they're unstable. When they catch on fire, they explode, and at that point, you know, basically the building is lost.
But here's the thing, is that 3 years ago there was 0 deaths from these e-bike batteries. This is not our reality now, but what are the city doing, what are you guys doing to help maybe kind of mitigate those numbers?
Yeah, a couple things. You know, one, I think the outreach that we've done, I think you've seen, you know, even I, when I'm speaking to people now, are telling me I'm not allowing these in my house or in my building, and that's great to see. Two, we're lobbying Congress. Gratefully, that legislation just started to move again, so I'm going to be back in D.C. in January making sure that they pass that legislation. Ultimately, that will do a great service to the city. We'll stop these devices from getting here, and then we're doing enforcement. So these are actually banned in the city of New York, the non-UL certified devices, and our fire marshals are
How do you enforce something like that? I mean, we can't even enforce shoplifting.
It's very hard. Most of these deadly fires are in people's homes, and we can't get into people's homes, and so that's why we have to talk to people.
So where is the state assembly on this? Because, you know, people have been complaining about e-bikes in a number of different ways, including traffic enforcement. They're dangerous on the streets, and now dangerous in the home. Have you heard anything from Albany?
So Albany is introducing a package of bills, so after I go to D.C., I will be going to Albany as well. So we're going to take this at every level, including the local level, until we make sure these aren't in people's homes. But, you know, frankly, at this point, until we pass that legislation, I'd suggest people don't have these in their homes if they don't have to.
Gotcha. Can we talk about that Bronx building collapse?
Absolutely.
Boy, oh boy, that's a miracle that nobody was killed.
Absolutely.
But how did that happen? I mean, the whole facade or part of the facade came crumbling down.
So that's under investigation, but I think what I'd say, I want to really emphasize how incredible this is for our members. We were there in a minute and a half. So what you saw, you guys showed on the video, in a minute and a half, our members have to decide without knowing what happened. Should they go in? How many people are in there? How did they do that? And so some of what you guys saw yesterday at our training academy, that's what helps them make those decisions so quickly.
We're showing some videos of the dogs here and the drones. How do you use these drones in terms of safety maneuvers and whatnot?
So a couple things. One, the drones and the robotics give us more insight into what's there. So whether that's seeing whether or not there is a person that we can't see from the outside, or even how stable the pile might be to send our members in as we're deciding, you know, how much danger they're going to be in. And then the dogs help us locate where there might be someone, where we should dig first. So really incredible and necessary full circle technology training, and then our canine friends to make sure we can find someone. And it is incredible that no one was hurt or killed in this collapse.
And look at those things cost money. You are dealing with budget cuts coming up in 2024. We're talking about the fifth man removed from trucks in some firehouses. I mean, how do you manage these budget cuts? Because you're talking about spending money on things that save people's lives, let alone a person.
they're incredibly difficult. You know, it's really hard decisions. You know, luckily we've been able to balance, you know, some of those difficult decisions with safety. The fire department, gratefully, along with police department, is exempt from our next round of cuts. So tough decisions, but you know, we are doing more with what we have, as we always have.
But are you worried about, you know, how you're going to do this, especially with the prevalence of e-bike fires? Because you can go on TV and you can stand on your head, you know, and spit chiclets in the wind, and like people are still going to have e-bikes in their house.
I think I will not sleep well until Congress passes legislation banning these dangerous bikes, that's for sure.
All right, what are we doing for Christmas? I got to relax here.
do some cooking safely, safe cooking.
Can I use a gas stove, or do I got to get rid of that?
I think you can still use a gas stove. I can ask Governor Hochul, but I think it's still allowed.
Do you have a gas stove too?
I do.
You do?
What are you cooking for Christmas? Maybe we might come over. We're hungry
You're
right
definitely
now.
allowed to come over.
I heard you're quite the chef.
I do love to cook. I don't know how good I am at it, but I like to have people over. I'm making a huge meal. I'm trying to find the time to prep for it, but yes, I will be doing Christmas Eve at my house this year.
All right, so, Fire Commissioner Laura Kavanaugh. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much for coming on. Good day.